Welcome back to the Shatterproof Entrepreneur. Today is a great day, and we have a special guest, Dr. Ken Rochon. Ken, welcome to the show.
I am so excited to be here, and thank you, Scott, for having me.
Yeah. Well, Ken, I could not do justice to an introduction for you. So tell the listeners kind of who you are and what you stand for.
Well, we were, as you remember, twin brothers when we were born, Scott, and we were separated at birth, and here we are today, both really good things in the world. So who I am, first and foremost, is a dad to an amazing child, a son who is really becoming a game changer and a future leader, which I had identified him as when he was born. And I'll just say to the audience, when you think of your son or your daughter as an identity of greatness, you actually parent that way. So it's pretty
Amen.
Cool. I am an author of 47 books. My son has caused me to think about doing a book a year. So magically on August 5th, I don't know how this is happening, Scott, but I have a feeling you and I are doing a book. I am going to have 60 books on my 60th birthday. I have 13 books to go. And I'm a publisher. We are a publisher that actually creates impact for our authors. And I'm a world traveler. So I love to travel and do photography.
Wow. Okay. I see why I couldn't do it. That's awesome. And you and I met at a mastermind about a year ago, I guess. We're in Vegas, where you said you're headed soon. And you said you're a publisher. You're also, I know that you're a photographer, and then you have an alias that I want to explore a little bit. That's gonna kind of, when I met you, was like you had this card and you're like, hey, I'm gonna take your picture. They call you Dr. Smiley. So what's that all about?
I will say that, but I have this rule, if you don't mind obliging me with this rule, is that we weren't just at a mastermind. We were at J.R. Spears' Business Leaders Network Mastermind. And the reason I want to say that, Scott, is people like J.R., he brings people like us together.
Oh, yeah.
And we've not only met each other at a mastermind, but we keep meeting each other at J.R. Business Leader Network events. And I'm just so grateful that I got to meet you through that. And that particular mastermind was not JR's, now that I recall, but JR caused me to meet you because
That's right.
So he brought me as a guest, but then we met each other at other events because JR, when he sees great speakers and leaders, he brings them to his masterminds. So that's pretty cool.
It is. Yeah. And he is such a great connector and a good friend to both of us.
Yes, he is. So back to the question. Dr. Smiley is not my birth name. Rochon is my birth name. It's I guess it's Canadian French, and I've been called the connector previously to me having this lovely smile card. And it was because I was like JR. I like to connect people and watch the magic happen, because it's really cool when you're a third party endorser of somebody, because what happens is you become the recipient of, hey, wasn't it nice of him to connect, just like we did for JR right now.
Yep.
And so when I got the smile card, they started calling me Mr. Smiley. And I said, you know what? During the pandemic, while I have no business, no clients, I mean, it was just really tough. I decided to go get my doctorate, and I got my doctorate in philosophy. And I said, you know what? There's only one name I can think of after this, and it's Dr. Smiley. I've been called Mr. Smiley enough. It's time to be called Dr. Smiley. So sometimes people think Dr. Smiley is a nickname and that there's no PhD after it, but I did the work, and very proud of the studying and the opportunity I had during the pandemic. My son became an author during the pandemic. I became a doctorate. And most importantly, I had a new way of thinking about business. I mean, when you had that pandemic and you lose everything, you have to restructure, and you also have to rethink everything. And so things like this have happened because of that.
Okay. Yeah. And so you showed the card. What do you do with the card, and what's the significance of it?
So some people think that this card is something I'm kind of throwing at them and saying, hey, will you hold this? I'd like to take a smile shot. But I'm as clear as I possibly can be that I'm giving the card to people that are inspiring me because they have positive energy. They're a leader that makes a positive difference. And I just want to show the world that I connected them by honoring them with a smile card. On the back of the smile card, it says our mission, which is we amplify goodness. So when I see someone that's doing good things in the world, I just can't help myself. And I go over, and you recall, I kind of was chasing you around the mastermind, and then I got you again in another mastermind. The thing about that is I make these lovely books, and I have one handy here, and it's books that have all these really cool people. There's our Star Trek guy, and that's the guy from the Turtles.
Yeah.
Happy together. Isn't that fun? And you wouldn't believe the people I have met. Ty Lopez. I'm about to meet Robin Sharma, the guy, the monk
Yep.
who left Ferrari. I'm meeting him Saturday. And then there's Quincy Jones and Brett Michaels. I do. I have this book, and I believe this is the first round. This was the prototype. So
That's right.
the new book has you in it. It was missing probably about 20 or 30 people because I just had to get the book out real quick.
Yep.
But I will send you that book when it comes out next week. It comes out. And what it does is, when you go to an event and you're getting business cards and you're getting conversations, it's just kind of overwhelming. And you're euphorically in denial that all this could happen. And then you get home and you get your list of things you didn't do, the list of things your wife needs to do, the list of things that your EA did for you. I mean, everything is just piled up, and everything that happened at the mastermind or whatever event you were at has to be shuffled off into a stack or shuffled into a digital forgettability.
Right.
And so I have found that these books help me remember the
Sure.
people I met and their names, and I rekindle conversations. And you would not believe how many things have happened that make my phone really a conversion tool.
Yeah. And a little bit different, but you carry two phones, as I recall.
Yes, I do. I carry a phone that I can give the number to anybody.
Yep.
And then once I find that I want to work with them, I give them my client phone. And this is actually not really a client phone. It's really an inner circle phone because it's
Yeah. Yeah.
my family, friends, partners, and clients.
I love the idea. I don't know anyone else that does that, but it makes total sense.
Well, I had a gentleman that gave me the idea for the idea. His name is Ray Perez, and he says,
Yep.
I have two phones. I have one phone for me that stays in my pocket. I have the other one I just hand to someone and say, get me social proof, videotape everything. And what he's doing is he's saying, I don't care if this phone is not with me. I heard the idea and I said, you know what? This phone has 26,000 people and it's a treasure box I can never get to.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I want to get a focus phone. And a focus phone is where you say, I met them here, and there's so many notes with each person. And I did it, believe it or not, Scott, I did it one at a time, 10 a day. And it is insane, but this is the truth. These were hand done because I didn't want to have a duplicate of that nightmare. Right now, as of today, 12,435, and it had only one on January 1st of last year.
That's crazy. That is crazy. And yeah, and I'm blessed to be in that number.
Yes,
You're not using that. It's not like you're gathering those and then like you're text marketing to us.
No, and I'm not going to give away personal information about you, but I do want to show you that's how extensive the notes are in the section. So I can tell you that we were at the BLN Mastermind. I can tell you when your birthday is. I can tell you that you're in this book right here. Yep. So if I go to November 3rd, now this may be an older edition. It is. You're next to good old Matthew McConaughey in the new edition. So this one's my since these books cost so much to produce, I bring one. I just have a tattered torn one. But you are in the new one. Again, anyone that I show a book to, I tell their audience they can have the books for free. All they need to do is reach out to you or reach out to me, and I give them the books for free. They're ebooks, of course, but they're handy. And then the other thing I can tell you is that we have Zoomed together, and it was the Next Gen. Just to give a little shout out, it was the Next Gen Mastermind that we were. And so I like to give props because without people that are visionaries, we actually don't get the semblance of ideas. We don't get the semblance of community, and we don't have the filter of causing greatness to happen.
Yeah, and that was Next Gen was Travis Brady's mastermind, and I told him at the end of it that the group that he had assembled, it was just amazing. JR being one of them, you being one of them, it was just there were some really high level people there just attending, and then the speakers were awesome, and the connections, man, it was great. That if you're listening and haven't ever been to a mastermind, Travis does a great one, and then JR with the Business Leaders Network has a great event and a great community that if you're looking for that, I couldn't recommend it enough.
Well, I'll just say for your audience and for me going there, I believe I'm speaking there, and it's April 14th through 17th. So anyone that wants to meet lovely people like Scott, myself, and JR, this is a great event. I don't have a lot of information handy because I wasn't prepared for this, but I believe it's in Arizona. It's April 14th through 17th. He has about 3 big events a year. They're branding focused, they're monetization focused, they're strategy focused.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, okay. So you're into the publishing world. It's Perfect Publishing? Is that your?
It is, and this is quite the day for me because it's the first time I'm showing our new look. Can I show you our new look?
Yeah.
We just got this new look literally Sunday, and I am proud to say this is how you're going to see me from here on out.
Ooh, I like that, Ken. Yeah.
The
See
idea of it is the 2 P's are 2 different colors because it shows that we will work with all of humanity, and we are
Okay.
looking at people that want to make a difference in the world as a king or a queen, someone that really will play big.
So what's the importance of books? Why, I mean, I understand you make money doing them, but you're not doing anything just to make the money. So why books?
Well, if I can backtrack and even say how hard it was and how scary it was to do my first book, which was a year after I promised my mom on her deathbed in 2008 that I would do my book. And 30 some years, I said, after reading Tom Sawyer and loving Mark Twain and loving other authors, I said, I want to do a book. It's so important to do a book. And then my mom got a dementia, 3 years of caregiving. I just said, you know what? Life is so precious. You can't keep putting off what you say you're going to do. You got to do it. So
Yeah.
I got the book out. It was a tragedy. I mean, it was financial upside down, probably $23,000 lost. And I scratched my head and I said, this is like the worst joke I could have. God, I think you told me to do this. Why'd you tell
Mm.
me? And what I came to kind of, I guess, decipher was this is what people experience. If you don't know what you're doing, you're going to lose money. And if you don't know what you're doing, and by the way, your agreements are so vital. If you don't know how to read an agreement and know what you're getting, you probably have an upside down ROI or no ROI. I mean, it's just insane.
Yep.
So I got the message, and I'm glad I got the message because I could have easily said this isn't for me. And I repaid roughly about $4,000 to make it a book that I could market. And I eventually, over 5 years, sold 8,000 copies. I got my money back. But more importantly, I had people coming to me and saying, show me how to do it. And after helping roughly 10 people, I opened a publishing company. And what I found was not to put down anyone that's in the publishing business, but the publishing business is not really known for creating ROIs. And our company focuses on ROI. And we do it with 3 phases that are beyond publishing. So most publishers, I think you'll agree, they give you a book and they say, hey, your book is done. Here it is. Here's your baby and good luck. And they're not saying, bye, I hate you. They're just saying, we did our job. We did our job. And what we say is something kind of close to that. You'll like this. So same guy, Barry Shore, and I'm actually hoping to live with him during this Super Bowl season because Las Vegas flights are so expensive. If you get there 3 days early, they're palatable.
Uh,
But and also the flights are almost not even available. It's
yeah.
almost unavailable flights.
Yeah.
So if you have a book and you give it and you say good luck, that is you did your job. But what we do is we say, here's your book. Now let's get going. Now it's time to start. And it's a 2-year process we do of actually bringing them to 50 cities, taking the Jumbotrons in New York, taking the Library of Congress. And what happens is the adventure, the experience, the tribal community of authors actually cause a tipping point. And if you're a speaker and you're making, I don't know, 5,000 or 10,000 speaking engagement, and you can only get maybe 1 job a month, you kind of know what your income is. But if you had a book working to get lots more conversations, those conversations at some points convert, and you get better actually at how you convert them because you're talking more, you're getting better at really connecting what your value proposition is. So we've seen people like JR, for instance, he'll give his book to 300 people at a mastermind level event, and he'll have, a dozen conversations. And if your price point is in the 50K range, you're pretty happy when you're converting a decent percentage. And so I just like working with people like you, where conversation is more valuable than a $10 bill from the book, which is what you're left with. When you sell a book for $20, you're left with roughly $10 profit.
Right. Yeah.
Hey there, it's Scott Reeb, cutting in for a quick moment. If you're enjoying the podcast and finding value in our discussions, you're going to love the Access Plan. It's designed for entrepreneurs like you, offering unlimited legal advice without the worry of high hourly fees. With the Access Plan, you can get the legal support you need at a flat monthly rate so you can focus on growing your business with confidence. Head over to reeblaw.com/access to learn more and join Access now and get busy shatterproofing your business. Now let's get back to our amazing guest.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, just kind of recap I mean, you can make some money selling books, but that's a long game.
Yes.
The better use of it is to make it a tool for leverage so that you can have more and better qualified conversations for
100%.
your high ticket. If you have a high ticket offer,
You're
if you
right.
don't have a high ticket offer, it might not work as well.
It might not. And by the way, when we're attracting people that have high ticket, what happens is we're actually causing a referral system for them, because people are starting to see that high ticket is the way to go with Perfect Publishing. And so we become a lot more successful at helping people get their money back, because you're really down on average, I'd say 25,000. You're down when you get the book. And by the way, when you have a baby and you've gone through all the fertility and you got to pay the bill for the hospital, it's kind of a similar bill. It could actually be way more high. It depends what your insurance is covering. But my point is, when you're creating something that's going to cause a legacy, cause impact, and be part of your life, you need to make a decision. Are you really committed to it after it's born?
Yeah. And on this show, we're about building shatterproof businesses and lives and building unbreakable legacies. And having a book, and I'm at the end stage of a book and had already started before we met, right? And so I was working with someone else, but it's something that if you've got a business, and especially if you have a high ticket offer, you should really consider doing a book. Everyone has one, at least one in them, is my belief. Ken, if they wanted to do a book with you, how would they reach out to you?
We have the perfectpublishing.com, and then my number here is the 202-701-0911.
Okay, and we'll grab that and put it in the show notes. But there's no one better at helping you write the book, get the book done, which is a big feat in itself. But then if you want to let the world know what you've done, it's been fun watching Ken do this with other authors, and I've got friends that he's done books for, and watching them be up on the big screens at Times Square and all that stuff is really cool. And so I would encourage you to reach out to Ken if you've considered doing a book. I had my book outlined for 2 years and didn't act on it until I took the step and just hired somebody to help me do it. Because once you put some skin in the game, then suddenly you get that book done.
Yeah, I'd like to just interject with your book and anybody who's an expert, but your book in particular. Can you imagine having 5,000 conversations, how much time that would take? But you can hand a book to somebody, and you can hand the Audible to them, and you can hand the ebook to them, and they can search. And when they read and you help them, what they end up saying is, he knows how to help me. I'm just going to hire him because I now know he can help me.
Right.
So a book does two parts. It talks about who the person is to inspire you that they are committed and they are purpose driven and they're integral. And the second part is it shows that they have results, that people, the stories that they tell, the people that edify that this works, that this person is every bit of the value that they say they are. And in this day and age, people really need to think about, when they're making an investment, it isn't about the price, it's about the value. And if they're getting 100,000 back on a $30,000 investment, that's way better than paying 20,000 and getting 1,000 back. It's just, and people don't always look at it that way. And that's a very, very important facet. Like, look at the social proof. So one is, are you inspired by the person? And then secondly, can you Google them and see that they will deliver what you invest?
Yeah. And if you're wanting to really have an impact on the world, one-to-one doesn't accomplish it. And that's why I'm here on the podcast. That's why I've written the book. That's why I go speak on stages, is I can do about 20 calls a month,
Right.
and a week. I mean, and that's about it. I can't do much more than that and have any kind of a life. And so the numbers just don't work. I mean, I want to impact, 10 million small business owners and help them become shatterproof. So you've got to do it this way. And the book is such an excellent way to do it. You've already mentioned a little bit, but I know that you're a man of faith, and we hear a lot, at least I do, especially in circles that we kind of run in, about people saying that they run a Christian business or a Christ-centered business, or what does that really mean, and what does it mean? What does that look like for you?
Well, since the gift of me even having this vision to open up a publishing company was through prayer, and that God told me that the publishing aspect had really 2 points to it. One is the legacy piece, is that the people that love you, they don't know who you are. You've never shared the true who you are, because you share in the more unconditional you are, the more you share who you want to be for them, not who you are.
Mm.
And so my mom, as great as she was, I don't know her story. And she was a really wonderful woman. I don't know her story, though. I don't know what she thought. I don't know what she went through. So the legacy piece was the first component of people that have something to say. I want to help them say it to the people they love. And then the second part of it is the business, the acumen of their expertise, using it as the most powerful business card you can to create abundance in the world, not just for the author, but more importantly for the reader. If the reader is getting value from the author, it's back, as God always gives to people that impact the world. So we have two exciting projects I want to just share, and I can do it all in one whole minute.
You bet.
We have a project by Dr. Brian Kent, and it's called Checkmate. And I want to invite you to talk to Brian, because you will become fast friends.
Okay.
It is called Checkmate: 52 Strategies for Abundance and Efficiency in Business and Life. And you know, Scott, that's right up your alley, because Shatterproof is exactly about the topic is, but also your agreements are. When your agreements are clean, my mentor, Barry Shore here, he taught me that when your agreements are clear, concise, and compelling, meaning there's something there, there's value, and you have a much better list. But my point is, when you drill down to those 3 points, you're going to do more business. And it's funny that he has 3 C's: clear, concise, compelling, but it equals the biggest C of all. You ready for that? Conversion.
Ooh.
Conversion happens at the highest level when it's clear, concise, and compelling. So the other one, I don't have the picture for you because we're still designing it, but I want to invite you to this, because this is because your show is focused on this conversation, this topic. We are doing a book with 52 Godpreneurs. And the premise is obvious, but I'm going to say it anyway, is that when you have God in your business, business will be for God. And so you don't have to wonder if you're going to succeed. God will guide you through the pathway. When you serve, you win. It's that simple.
Wow, that's powerful. The Godpreneur, yeah, that's cool. I'd love to talk about that. That's
Dr. Stafford Sutton will be my other person. So Dr. Brian Kent will be who I have you connect with for Checkmate. Okay. And then Dr. Stafford Sutton has and it's brand new. It's like, it's 2 weeks conversation. But when you bring up this topic here, I know this is God actually working right now and saying Godpreneur is going to really be a very powerful book.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Well, Ken, I mean, you've been on this entrepreneurial journey for a little while, and you know that there's some ups and downs in it. And there's someone that's watching and listening to the show right now that is probably not doing real well. They feel discouraged. It's a struggle for them. What words would you have for them?
We have a big book that you've been invited into. I don't know if you've sent a chapter in, but we invited you for the template of Dose of Hope. And Dose of Hope stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. And that's what goes off when you have hope in your heart. When you don't have hope, you actually are missing those very vital chemicals, and you unfortunately get something that's quite reverse. It's cortisol. And that cortisol ends up messing with you and causing you to feel like you can't make it. So I will send you the Dose of Hope so that you can share it with your audience. Okay. But to answer your question, it is a matter of hope is hold on, pain ends. When you have hope and you pray and you have faith, God is giving you lessons. And some of the lessons are, how bad do you want it? Some of the lessons are, this isn't the way to do it. And some of the lessons are just, you're not ready yet. You're just not ready yet. And so it took me 7 years to have my book and my publishing company yield a man giving me a key smiling card that all of a sudden caused a new tipping point. And I realized that I was working for leaders, but then I wanted to start working for leaders that were in the Christian mindset, that even if they weren't Christians, they were spiritually aligned to actually serving.
Yeah. Yeah.
That made all the difference for me, Scott. All the difference.
Yeah. So, so if you're listening, hold on and be persistent, and God will come through for you. Those are powerful words, Ken. Thank you. I really appreciate you coming on the show. And
can I interject one more thing, Scott? Can I interject one more thing?
Yeah.
If we have 1 minute, I just want to say that when you have a book, and this is Brian Kent's book, when you have a book, think about, men do not like to read books. 85% of the books that are read are by women. Think about doing your book in Audible, because Audible, men like to digest books on Audible. Number 2, make a pocketbook of something that can fit in a vest that is the main principles of the book, because then they start landing. Your book is the perfect example of, if I had that with me, I could take it out when I'm reading a review and I just do it, because then you're not going to carry the big book around all the time. And the third thing is a deck of cards. Making a deck of cards with 52 principles, and you're playing the cards and you're playing with people, you're giving the deck to people, their clients, you're starting to gamify and turn your message into a full suite package that causes your book to really be taken seriously. So that's my final words.
Yeah, you can see why I like hanging out with Ken. I mean, he's just full of these kind of ideas that not only are good for you, but are good for everybody else. Ken, as we close, I want to thank you. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and may the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, my friend, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Thanks for joining us on in the Shatterproof Entrepreneur. If you're listening and like this conversation, subscribe and like this show, and we'll see you next time on the Shatterproof Entrepreneur.
God bless you.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as professional advice. While I'm your host, Scott Reed, and a lawyer, I'm not your lawyer, and this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship. The views expressed by my guests are their own and not mine, and they may not even reflect the opinion of the Shatterproof Entrepreneur podcast. So we strive to provide valuable and accurate content, but we make no representations as to the accuracy, completeness, or suitability of any information to your particular situation, and won't be liable for any errors or omissions for the application of them. Always consult a professional or in the respective area that we've discussed before making any personal or business decisions.